Hi, and welcome to Fantastic FOURiday. I'm Tom Scholey, author of Jack Kirby, The Epic Life of the King of Comics, and I Am Stan, a graphic biography of the legendary Stan Lee. I'm also the author of Godzilla's Monsterpiece Theater, which is a new series coming from IDW this October. Keep an eye out for it, and ask your local comic retailer to set aside a copy of issue 1 for you. We're looking at Fantastic Four number 7, and I thought this would be a good excuse to get my oversized Toshin Fantastic Four volume into rotation. It's a beautiful book with the first, I think, 20 issues reproduced at this massive size. There's all kinds of detail. You get to look at these stories with new eyes. We get this great cover with a torch wielding mob ranting and raving at this giant billboard saying "Wanted Dead or Alive, the Fantastic Four." And this portrait of Mr. Fantastic looks a lot like a Jack Kirby self-portrait, and so does the portrait of the Thing, strangely enough. The Fantastic Four in Prisoners of Kurrgo, Master of Planet X. It came from the skies, and it's signed by Stan Lee and J. Kirby, which was not common in comic books at that point. Beautiful opening shot. There have been a lot of alien invasion and alien conqueror stories in the history of superhero comics leading up to this point, but I've never seen one anywhere near as good as this. It's this kind of conviction, inventiveness, verisimilitude. It's just, really, really well done, well thought out. This great shot of this very strange looking alien, great costume with this high-tech dinner dispensing machine. It kind of reminds me of the machine that Charlie Chaplin ate out of in the movie Modern Times. So Kurrgo, the space conqueror, is eavesdropping on a meeting of the Fantastic Four, and he laments that his great advanced civilization is going to die while this primitive Earth civilization is going to survive because there is a runaway asteroid on a collision course with his planet. So the plan is to send a flying saucer to Earth to recruit the Fantastic Four, involuntarily recruit them to help these guys figure out a way to survive this planetary destruction. The Fantastic Four are getting ready to be honored at a dinner, but they're kind of, thinking that it might not work out so great, that their powers might, get out of control, and they're just imagining different ways it could be a fiasco. The Torch kind of has enough of this, so he decides he's going to take a shower, and the Thing plays a prank on him. This is becoming a running element of the series, and again, something unique to superhero comics at this point. Get a great sequence of Reed stretching himself and going inside this mechanism. As this flying saucer gets closer and closer, we go for a little fantastic car ride, and then the spaceship lands, and it's a variation on The Day the Earth Stood Still, and this robot is a variation on Gort, but just really a great looking robot. So they're on their way to this dinner, and they're getting this giant trophy, and now at the orders of Kurrgo, the robot releases this frequency that makes people turn into assholes. And now this, sort of smiling politician is now ranting and raving about the Fantastic Four and what a danger they are. They're getting food thrown at them. They have to flee. It's the Fantastic Four versus the army again. It's an ongoing motif. This idea of the Fantastic Four as outlaws just make a really spectacular escape every step of it. The Thing, lifting up this wall, climbing out from underground as a bus runs over him, getting grabbed by Mr. Fantastic's arm into the Fantastic car. Just read a lot of superhero comics leading up to this issue and see how many of them really take advantage of the action adventure possibilities of the genre and have, exciting chase sequences and fights that unfold in a naturalistic way. See how many of them there are. And chances are, if you're able to find any, it's a Jack Kirby comic. This is groundbreaking stuff. And you just think again about, some of the quaintness of the Fantastic Four. It seems a little, kind of creaky and old-fashioned when you compare it to Star Trek or Star Wars or the X-Men or something. But remember, this predates all of that stuff. A kid at this point in the early 60s reading this thing, we're getting an experience that you could find nowhere else on planet Earth. And they face off with this robot, again, looking very, very imposing, inventive. And we get another splash page, the chapter break, part 3, another opportunity for the Stan Lee and Jack Kirby signature. The idea is to make the Fantastic Four into pariahs on planet Earth so that they're forced to leave and forced to help this alien. The plan's a little convoluted. It's good comic book fun, but it's a little convoluted. I'm sure if they just asked the Fantastic Four as superheroes, please come to our planet and help us, solve this problem of a planet destroying meteor, I'm sure they'd agree to it. But that's knowing the Fantastic Four after all these decades. Back then, the Fantastic Four were new, and even to the reader, you're not 100% sure that these are Superman-style superheroes, altruists who will put down, whatever they're doing to save a life. We don't quite know that yet, which is part of what makes the Fantastic Four interesting at this period, part of the narrative tension. They climb aboard the spaceship, have a spectacular flight through a meteor storm, a Jack Kirby motif. We get this amazing splash page, part 4, the Fantastic Four in 24 hours till zero. A spectacular shot made famous from a black light poster of this image. It's interesting seeing it in its original context because I'm so accustomed to seeing that black light image, but it looks really great in this original context. The fact that it's part of a story. And again, I don't remember ever seeing a vista this spectacular in any superhero comic prior to this. We're 7 issues into the series, and it's just been a treat all the way through. Now they land. We get another shot at Kurrgo. He looks a little more humanoid. His face is a little less alien compared to how he is in that initial first page and sequence. And he sort of tells the story. We get this great image of cataclysm. The tides are growing uncontrollably high. There's volcanic fires. Really great shots of just doom and gloom as this asteroid comes towards them. They only have 2 ships, large enough evacuation ships. One of them is the saucer that the Fantastic Four came here in, and it's just not enough to get this population off the planet. The thing, again, not characteristic of superheroes up to this point, says, "What have you gotten us into, big brain? Get us out of here. We're going to die on this planet." And the thing starts a fight with the robot. You don't see this kind of battle or play-by-play in a superhero comic prior to this, in sort of this post-code era. We see everybody in action. The destruction's just continuing. The planet's getting closer. I guess this also reminds me, I spoke about the day the Earth stood still. Also reminds me of This Island Earth. Part 5, another chapter break, another excuse for a cool splash shot. Dick Ayers manages to get his signature down there in the corner, along with Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. And so it looks like he's building some kind of cannon that maybe he's going to blast that asteroid out of the collision course. But no, it's actually a gas dispersal cannon that is going to use this shrinking gas to make the population shrink down small enough. And you think about shrinking as a recurring motif in Jack Kirby's work, so that they can all fit in these 2 rockets. And then when they get to the planet that they're going to evacuate to, they'll grow back to normal. And it really is a nice sort of countdown clock, seeing this planet, this asteroid or whatever, get larger and larger as it comes closer. Some great action-adventure cataclysm, the Thing hurling this boulder. They got to get across this big chasm. Just really nice staging. And now the gases are being administered. Kurrgo has the canister that contains the enlarging gas. And this is, he was sort of the villain through the whole series, but this is his big heel turn. He's going to keep it for himself. "Why should I share this enlarging gas with the others? I am the master. When we reach a new planet, I shall be the only one who grows back to normal size." And he envisions himself as this giant king with this tiny population to serve him. But because he's carrying this giant canister of enlarging gas, doesn't get to the ship in time as it's taking off. We get a little poignant moment, and even a jerk like this guy, you got to feel bad for him, being left behind to die. Are you sure the enlarging gas will work when they reach their new planet, Reed? After all, you never had time to test it. There was no reducing gas, Sue. It was just an empty projectile. I only told them about it so they could consent to my plan. But once they reach their new world, it won't matter. They'll all be the same size, and in this vast universe of ours, one size is only relative anyway. Fantastic Four evolves partially out of the science fiction, the giant monster stories that, Jack Kirby and Stan Lee have been doing prior to this. And a lot of them have that sort of twist ending, the twist ending that was to some degree part and parcel of the science fiction genre at this time. And then obviously after the science fiction comics, the EC science fiction comics, where every single story hinged on one of these twist endings. And then you have the very recent Twilight Zone series. So this is an element that seems to be part of most of these stories. And it's interesting to see this fusion of superhero story and science fiction story, and it just plays really nicely. It's a perfect marriage. And so the Fantastic Four streak back to Earth, leaving behind the most incredible adventure of all time, never to know of the ironic end of Kurrgo, the one who died for an empty dream. Well done, Jack Kirby. Well done, Stan Lee. I'm Tom Scholey, author of Jack Kirby, The Epic Life of the King of Comics. I Am Stan, a graphic biography of the legendary Stan Lee, and the author of Godzilla's Monsterpiece Theater, a new series coming from IDW. Ask your local comics retailer to reserve a copy of issue 1 for you. I'll see you next time for Fantastic FOURiday.